Well, welcome back to FR UK Rugby. And, well, we're heading now to Brive, where they don't only have one former British and Irish Lion in their camp. Yeah, Courtney Lawes is the new boy in town, but we've got our very own Joe Worsley there as the defence coach. And I'm delighted to say also Wales international and, former British and Irish Lion, Ross Moriarty. Gents, how you doing?
Good, mate. Good, mate. Looking forward to talking to Ross about his life. It's only yesterday I remember his dad trying to slam me in the face in Swansea with a swinging arm.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to share the fact that when we were just setting up this chat, Joe said, it might be a bit too bright here for the camera. So firstly, thanks for finding a nice bit of shade. I can guarantee you that in the UK right now, it is not too bright for anything. Do you ever feel smug about living in a beautiful part of France, Ross?
I was just sunbathing on my balcony with my top off. So, yeah, no, I definitely enjoy the weather compared to Swansea. Obviously, it's raining 99% of the year. So, yeah, no, when I speak to friends and family, they're always very jealous of the sunshine I get to have.
And you decided to make the move to France before it was cool as well, Ross?
Well, definitely to the Pro D2. Obviously I was at Dragons. Before I was at Gloucester, but my time at Dragons was a bit up and down with club rugby, but you know, I was in and out of the international setup. Obviously I had a few injuries and things hadn't been going too smoothly for me with that, but I needed a change, and it was really tough at that time to come into the French clubs. Obviously there was a lot of big names trying to come into the French top 14. And no one really spoke about the Pro D2. Even though Brive were in the top 14 when I signed for them, there was obviously the inevitability of them being demoted into the Pro D2, but that was something I wasn't too bothered about at that time because I knew how tough it was for players to come to France.
You were saying about the Dragons being up and down?
Yeah.
And you'd gone to Gloucester already because you left Wales. Why? Originally, when you went to Gloucester, why did you leave Wales?
So when I was, obviously I was originally, not obvious, but I was born in St Helens when my father was playing rugby league at Widnes. And when I was 2 years old, we moved back to Swansea, where all our family are from. Went to primary school, went to secondary school. Didn't really have any opportunities in sport. Wasn't one of the star junior players coming to the end of my secondary school. And I was lucky enough to have a phone call off a coach called Barry Maddox. You may have come across him. He coaches at RGN now. And he was coaching at Harbury College. And he asked my dad if I'd be interested in obviously leaving Swansea to go and live at a boarding college, which I'd never heard of, to be honest with you. And I didn't even go look at the place. I just said, yeah, I'm happy, I'll go.
So you left originally because you didn't have the opportunity in Wales?
So I signed my first academy contract when I was still at college. So I was 17. I was actually one of the last players, I was the only under-18s England player to not have an academy. So I got into the England under-18 squad as the only player without a club.
Yeah.
And then from there, obviously I had options around England, but because obviously I'd made my friends at Harbury and all the lads who were playing with England under-18s at that time, I knew already from playing at Harbury, and they'd already signed at Gloucester, so I decided to stay at Gloucester.
Okay, cool. So the Welsh system's not picked you up. You've come into the kind of English system. Yeah. The academy there's picked you up eventually after you get into the England under-18s. Yeah. And then you kick on, you play for the England under-20s?
Straight into the under-20s. I was lucky enough to do the 2 Junior World Cups where we won them 2 in a row. We had obviously a very impressive group of players.
Who else was in your group?
So my first year, I had in the backs, I'll start Callum Brayley. Callum Brayley, Henry Slade, Anthony Watson, Jack Noel. In the forwards, we had Alec Hepburn, Luke Cowan-Dickey, Carl Sinclair.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a fair amount.
Yeah, we had basically a majority of the current England squad or boys who have gone through to play for
What did it feel
England.
like singing the British national, or the English national anthem? Sorry.
Well, I had absolutely no problems in singing the anthem because, to me, it was, well, Wales never bothered me because they did get asked at a younger age to come and watch me while I was in Gloucester, but they weren't really too fussed on it. And to me, I owed England that, respect to sing their anthem.
I'm curious. I'm sure they were really proud that you were getting, recognised and getting the representative opportunity. But being as your family is a Welsh dynasty, what was it? What was your dad like when he said, "I'm gonna pull on the Rose"?
My dad was definitely really supportive of it because at the time when my dad played, rugby union was amateur. He got given the opportunity to go play professional rugby league, and that was a big no-no in the time he played rugby union.
How was he treated then? Like that?
So,
what year was it he went? 80 something, wasn't it?
Either 88 or 89, I think.
Yeah. And so at that moment, so many Welsh players were getting plucked out and taken away from the national team. Yeah. So how did people in Wales react to that moment in those times?
Well, they actually did a documentary about it not so long ago about rugby in Wales in the 80s, and obviously the main character and person involved was Jiffy, Jonathan Davis, who was the biggest name in Welsh rugby at that time to go to play in England for rugby league. And people just couldn't get their heads around the fact that the players were happy to leave their local areas, local teams, even though they weren't getting paid, to go and do it as a professional job. And for me, it's very, it was obviously alien to the local people, but outside of Wales, it's a goldfish bowl in Wales, so people didn't want to look outside of anything else, or say, well, fair play to him, he's going to go and get paid, a good wage and not have to do two jobs or go train with the amateur rugby union team and then go and work in the afternoons or whatnot. So for my father, that was great because all he wanted to do was sports.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in that, Ross. Well, sorry, I'm really interested. Like, how much was that experience and what your dad went through there, making a move that a lot of people questioned, a reason why you seem to have taken to life in France in a way that a lot of players from where you were from, a lot of guys from where you were from, don't seem to have transitioned. I'm thinking of Rhys Webb, Lee Halfpenny, and quite a lot of other of your Welsh internationals you've played with who dipped their toe in the French waters and didn't really like it in the way that you have.
I feel that obviously a lot of the boys who go on to play for Wales and become big internationals, play a lot of times for their country in Wales, they never actually leave where they're from. So obviously they go into the academies when they're under 11s, under 12s, whatnot, and stay with that club until they turn professional, and then obviously go on to play international. They've never actually left where they're from or put out of their comfort zone. But for me, because I was 16 and I was still a kid, but in Swansea there's not many opportunities for people unless it's hard to explain. There's like no one goes to university or no one leaves the street they're from in a way. For me though, I had to do sport because I didn't have any sort of anything in my mind about what I wanted to do with work outside of school or sports at that time. So I just had to take that opportunity to go. And I definitely struggled my first year being away from where I'm from and my friends I grew up with and whatnot. But I'm glad I did that because I kind of feel like moving away at that young age kind of got me ready to move away when I was older to different places and not be so, I miss home, I want to come back. And I feel like boys who've never done it before, especially as they get older, it gets harder to be able to settle in a new country or a new club. So I think that definitely helped.
And how has that transition to France been? How difficult was that?
So it's quite a bizarre story. So my friend Moriarty was playing for Brive. and they were playing against Scarlet, so they were staying in Swansea, and I hadn't seen my friend Motu for a long time. So I went to see him at the team hotel, spoke to Mott, and then the coach came on to me and started having a chat with me, spoke in English. He played at Gloucester as well. Is that too loud? Motor voice going past. So Patrice, he played at Gloucester. He also played against my father and my uncle when they were at Swansea.
Hang on, Patrice played against them at Swansea?
Yeah.
Your uncle and your father. Patrice Colazo is a French prop. He played at Gloucester.
Yeah, he was at Bordeaux, I think, when he played against
Yeah, he was
Swansea.
at Bordeaux. He was at Bordeaux. They won the championship. He's a bit of a lunatic. He coached La Rochelle for a long time as well. He's a bit crazy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a typical French
I
coach.
think it's him with Olivier Zam at Gloucester. They tried to toughen up one of the youngsters before a game by beating them up in the changing room before they played sales, like Ed Pearce. Yeah, a famous story about that. Colazo started punching him in the face to make sure to get him ready for the game.
Yeah, he didn't
Old
do that
school
to
rugby.
me. He didn't do that to me, luckily. But no, yeah, so I got talking to Patrice, and it was just a bit of a throwaway comment where I said to my friend, "Oh, I'll go speak to Patrice and tell him I'll come to France." And they played the game. They obviously came back to Brive, and on the Monday, my mate messaged me and said, "Oh, Ross, you actually, would you actually come to play at Brive?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, of course I would." And I got nothing to lose. I was out of contract. I didn't really want to stay at Dragons, and I didn't have many options.
What was going on at Dragons at the time? And really Welsh club rugby
Yeah,
provincial rugby.
yeah.
What's going on with that? What's your take on that? No, is the system broken there? Like they're not producing.
Yeah,
They
but
get no crowds. They can't keep
no crowds. They haven't got financial. They're not financially stable. A lot of the teams. If a young lad gets offered to go play at an English club instead of staying at a Welsh club, they'd be silly not to go to the English club. I would say now, because there's always talks of maybe a region being wiped off, and leaving more money then for the other 2 or 3 regions which may still be there. So it's always a bit of a cloudy water situation with the regions in Wales.
Yeah.
Just to draw a little parallel between Wales and where you are now, my memories of Wales growing up was just of these incredibly passionate towns. And you think about, they've been put together now, Ospreys, as Neath and Swansea. Those are 2 tribes who are so passionate about were so passionate about their team. But that is what's alive and well in France at the moment, and even in the second tier of French rugby. I was watching the last couple of home games. It's just been packed. It must blow your mind, bearing in mind what you've just been talking about, that 15,000 people are turning out in a little town where you are right now, passionately supporting their team.
When you come to a place like Brive, there's no football, there's no other sort of team close to this area, and all they have is rugby. And I think that's the way Wales used to be. But in France, they've still kept hold of that, and I love it. Like you said, 15,000 fans. We average, I think, 12,000 fans a game last season, and that's what I wanted. Because I had it at Gloucester, where we used to get good crowds. Dragons, 5,000 fans if we're lucky. I just kind of lost that spark, and that's what I wanted. And even though I didn't know much about Brive, I just knew any club I'd go to in France from watching French rugby, I knew it was going to be a good fan base, and that's all I really wanted.
Got this far into the chat, and I haven't even checked on how you're doing injury-wise, Ross. What's the latest?
I can't put a timeline on anything, and I'm just kind of seeing how things are going. I ruptured one of the ligaments across the front of my ankle, and I dislocated it, but luckily it went back in straight away. I think we were a bit optimistic, thinking that it was going to be right sooner than expected, but I'm taking it day by day really, and just making sure everything's good, because we still got 8 months left of the season. We don't finish until mid-June if we go to the finals. So it's such a long, unforgiving season. I just want to make sure everything's good and right to get the second half of the season underway and obviously hopefully get to the finals.
Well, yeah, like I say, the good thing from your perspective there is it is a long old season. You've got the chance to contribute. How much is that just on a personal or a collective level? I suppose you can both chip in on this one. Just that desire to go and mix it with the big boys in the top 14.
I think everyone at the club obviously desperate to do that. Got to get our form right. We're not being up and down. Very, very French form. So if we keep doing that, it's always going to be hit or miss as to whether we can do it. So if we try and find some way of getting regular form, going to try and find that as soon as possible. Then the second half of the season, take that into the playoffs. It'll be a good position to really attack the top 14.
Yeah, like Joe said, obviously, I never understood when people said, "Oh, French teams, they're not too bothered about winning away from home." But I can tell you that they are bothered about it. But the home teams and the home advantage is such a big factor for them to keep the local community happy with the fact that they've won the home games. It drives them immensely, especially playing against a club like Brive, who's, I wouldn't say we're a massive team in the top 14. We'd be considered the small club, but in the Pro D2, we're considered the huge team. So we're everyone's final, which makes every game tough.
There's quite a bunch of your fellow countrymen who you've played with for years who are in the league as well. That must add a little bit of an edge to it as well. Sam Davis at Grenoble and George North, obviously, more recently at X, among the others.
Yeah, so there's obviously George and Sam, the Welsh lads, Tom Francis as well, at Provence, and there's a good handful. A good handful of players who I played the age group with and under 20s with, playing at other clubs around. So, every game I play, I'm always playing against players I've either played against or played with, and it's nice to see people, taking the jump and having a change of experience. And everyone I speak to says the same thing. The league is definitely not as easy as people may think back home, where obviously they think, oh, it's the second division. Everyone thinks of maybe the English Championship, where the level isn't great, and the Welsh Premiership, which is, they wouldn't even touch the size of Pro D2. So the level of good players in this league is massive, and it definitely makes it a very tough competition.
When you chat to those Welsh guys and the English guys at the other clubs, what's their view on how it is here, living here and competing here?
So, obviously, France is such a big country. I didn't realise how big it was until we had to travel around it on a bus. Yeah, 13 hours, 14-hour bus trips. But yeah, obviously you get some clubs like Provence, which is a lovely place, and then you may go to Oyonnax, which is up in the middle of nowhere in the foot of the Alps, gloomy, doomy weather, and it's a very different experience to us who are lucky to be in the south. But yeah, they all say that the rugby is. Everyone I speak to just says that the rugby is just mental. Officials are a little bit iffy, which makes it a lot more exciting. But the fans, everyone just says the fans are just absolutely crazy for rugby, and that's what they all love.
And go on, I'm gonna. You've played in the Premiership. Where do you reckon a good Pro D2 side like Brive? How would you get on if you were just dropped into the Prem for a season? Do you reckon you could do some damage there?
I think we'd definitely be not far off mid-table if we got things right. Like if we played to the standard we know we can. We got so much quality players in the squad. I know it's a pre-season game, but we played against Racing, who pretty much had everyone playing bar Owen Farrell that game, and we absolutely demolished them.
And I've got to ask you, Ross, as well, from a personal perspective. You're still only 30, mate. You got loads of gas in. Oh, hold on. Ross, I was going to ask, if you managed to survive being run over today, and you're still only 30 and you've got plenty of gas in the tank, how much do those international ambitions still burn for you?
Yeah, like I said, I was unlucky through the later part of my international time with injuries. Coming back from one, getting injured with something else, and it was disappointing. And now I'm in a club where you have to invest everything into it, and I really want to do my best at Brive and for Brive, and the goal is to win the Pro League, and that may not mean much to a lot of people who've played professional rugby, but for me, I didn't realise until I got older, but the chances of winning anything in sport it can be very far and few between. And the last time I won something was in the 2019 Six Nations. Before then, it would have been the Challenge Cup. A good few years before that with Gloucester. So,
well, I'm sure there's a bunch of Welsh fans that that might hold out hope of seeing you in red again, but it sounds like you've got the bit between your teeth where you are right now. Just on living in France, what are the things you love most or find most challenging about life there in France?
I think we're very lucky here in Brive. It is a very small community, which is quite unchanged, I'd say, compared to a lot of cities or big towns in France, and they definitely hold on to their identity and are happy in their ways. And it's one of the places where everyone knows everyone, everyone's friendly, and you make the effort to speak to people. Even though I speak very little French, I do make an effort with a lot of people, and the majority of them speak English back to me in the end. So it's quite easy in that aspect, and the rugby is crazy here at Brive, but the lifestyle is very relaxed, and that's a great balance for me personally, and I really enjoy that.
And go on, you can spill the beans on Joe as well, Ross. How's he been?
He's been great.
Oh god.
It's
Nice.
nice.
Awkward, Tiff.
It's nice to have obviously an English, English ex-international
Legend.
legend of the game. Better than James Haskell, obviously, best mate.
His hair therapy was good. I might go for the same one.
Yeah, I think Haskell's made Joe think about getting a hair transplant. But yeah, no, it's nice to have British coaches in the team, and people who have been in different working environments. Obviously, being in England, being in France as well, in other clubs in top 14. I think it's good to have a mixture of everyone else's different experiences of different clubs. So I think it definitely helps the club.
And I know people in the UK are obviously just really excited and intrigued by the combination when you're back fit again. And as we've already seen, you and Courtney in the same pack as well. What sort of an impact has he made?
Yeah, no, so when I obviously seen that we were signing Courtney, I was thinking, maybe I should ask for a bit more money. But no, yeah, he's a really good bloke. I've played against him obviously for a long time. When I started out at Gloucester, played against him obviously with Wales and England. Went on the Lions tour with him in 2017, and I was really excited to be able to play with him. And I don't know if maybe be in a place where I could learn loads off him, but even little things. He's 36 and he still looks like he's 25. His body's in good condition. He looks after himself, and that kind of makes me.
He's got better tattoos than you.
Yeah, he's got good tattoos. He's definitely got a better body than me.
What did you ever root? On that Lions tour that Courtney was on? Well, it was New Zealand, wasn't it?
New Zealand.
That was an incredible tour. What you got injured when?
First game.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Did you stay out or?
So, I was with Greg Laidlaw. We were obviously across it together, so it was easy for me to stay with Greg. But yeah, we arrived on the Wednesday, played on Saturday, and I slipped through this in my back in the hip.
Oh, you slipped a disc in your back. Was it something that had been going on before?
No, nothing.
How did you do it? Do you remember?
Yeah, so one of them, I was kind of outside of a rock and a boy kind of bent me over myself.
That happens often, does it?
But I felt a pop, and I just couldn't move. And they kind of were like, "Oh, what's wrong?" I was like,
So someone's slamming you in the back?
No, so like bent me like a pretzel back over myself, pretty much.
Oh,
I felt
Oh,
a
man.
pop, and I was just laying on the floor, and I was like, "Well,
It doesn't
don't
feel good.
But the physio was like, "Right, come on, get up." And I was like, "Okay, sound happy days."
Played on?
Played on, and the same sort of thing where I was making a tackle and someone came and hit me again, and I kind of bent over myself again, and I popped another disc.
You did 2?
So I did 2 in one
Jesus.
game, and I was laying on the floor, and I seen the clip, and I'm just laying there, and I can't move my legs, and I'm just laying on my back. But obviously, I've never experienced anything like that, where I would think, "Oh, my back's, completely gone." And I was like, I can't move. And they were like, "Ross, you're gonna have to play because we've made all the subs." And I was like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, Sam's just gone off. He's got a sore ankle." And I was like, "Nah, you gotta be kidding me now." They're like, "Yeah, Sam Walton's gone off. He's got a sore ankle." I was like, I can't get up. He was like, "No, come on, you get up." I was like, "All right, okay." Play the rest of the game, and then I didn't play a game of rugby for 8 months.
Wow. So operation.
Wasn't allowed to have an op.
Okay.
Because it was so close. The nerve was. So
Yeah, you don't know if it
close.
works or not. Yeah. Okay.
They said if they touched the nerve or damaged the nerve, I would have no function with my leg because all my muscles in my leg obviously stopped working because it was a complete nerve block.
Yeah, 8 months. Wow. And you stayed out in New Zealand after?
Well,
like social secretary or?
No, I actually tried to run for 3 weeks. So obviously I was taking a lot of painkillers and I was kind of in denial. Obviously I was only 20. I was just doing 22.
Oh man, you thought you were invincible and
thought there was nothing wrong.
So you're
with
actually
me.
running on a 2 bulging discs in your back.
But then in some sessions, my leg would just give way and I'd fall.
Mm.
And that's when the doctors are like,
I think doctors call that a key moment. You're falling over in training sessions. It's mad, isn't it? This is only 2017.
Yeah.
It's not that long ago.
Yeah, so I was running. I remember someone literally touched me like this, and my whole body just collapsed in half. And obviously the nerve was just getting completely jammed, and I couldn't run.
Yeah.
I'd stand up off the chair, and my leg would give way and I'd collapse.
Yeah. Is that because you're on the Lions tour? You wanted to stay on it?
You know, it was the biggest. It is the biggest representative we can do in rugby.
Yeah, it's addictive. Like you're playing with these guys. It's like playing with people that understand you inherently. It's a joy to be part of because everything you think and do, they're thinking the same, and you can make lines, cut lines, and do the things that everyone reacts to. It's really addictive to be part of, and I can understand exactly that. Especially at 22, you wouldn't want to give that up, even when you've got such a terrible injury. Right? That does sound quite bad, though.
Yeah,
honestly.
no, it was. It was a really dark time because, like I said, it was. Growing up, I never thought about Lions. My dad and uncle, unfortunately, never played for the Lions. They obviously represented Wales, and that was, to me, the pinnacle of rugby. So then when I got the opportunity, got told I was going to be involved with the Lions team, I'd never even thought about it. And I was like, really? I was like, just turned 23. I was the second youngest in the squad. Maro was a month or two younger than me. And going to it, I genuinely, I'm not saying I was better than anyone, but I believed in myself that I wasn't going to let anyone sort of, their reputation intimidate me into not pushing them. So yeah, playing that first game, actually played really well. If you watch, I don't know, probably
We'll find some highlights.
I actually had a really good game, and you'll probably see the clips of them pulling me off the ground, and no one obviously knew it at the time. I didn't know it, but yeah, that put me off for 8 months, and they actually said I may not recover from the injury because the disc just wasn't healing or recovering. So yeah, that was, the highest of the high, and then smack back down to earth.
Ouch. That does sound bad.
I'll tell you what, why don't I'd love to know. We've got 2 former British and Irish Lion and international back rowers. Pick your Lions back row between you for next year.
Caelan Doris, I've been watching him at Leinster, and he is definitely playing the best I've ever seen a number 8 play. How old is he? He's not
that old. But I don't. In England, there's not an out and out.
Yeah, he is standing out in a great team, which would obviously be difficult to do. But he stands out for me every game they play, and he's very consistent with his performances.
I think Scotland, Wales, England. I'm thinking standout 8s that could compete with him. I'm not really sure.
That's the thing with England. You have
a lot of flankers,
utility back rowers
yeah,
who play
multi-purpose.
There's no out and out 8s, but you know, Benwell.
Yeah, but again, I think he's probably more of a flanker.
Yeah, but still,
yeah,
rapid and strong.
He's a great player.
Yeah.
He'll certainly be in there competing for it.
Yeah.
Trying to think of other back row positions who it's going to be.
Well, so the 6s for the different countries. You got Matt Fagerson's doing a decent job for Scotland, and Tyg Byrne can play there for Ireland. He's playing there at the weekend against New Zealand. England have got Chandler Cunningham South and Ollie Chesham. And Wales, I suppose Jack Morgan could slot in on that side, potentially.
Jack Morgan's a 7.
He is, but it's interesting how they're going to play him and Rafael. But yeah, but I just chuck those 2 flank positions. Yeah, just Tommy Rafael and Jack Morgan have been brilliant for Wales, and Sam Underhill, Tom Curry for England. Jack Willis is eligible.
Yeah,
if he's eligible, that'd be a really interesting choice, wouldn't it? Even if he plays for France, it would be in 2 years' time. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. But if Jack's available, someone like him he can change the game. He can come on, make a number of ball steals, bam. I know not every team reacts like Toulouse react when the turnover comes, but even a Lions team could really profit from what he does. He's an incredible player. That'd be an interesting choice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Ballsy.
I think it would suit him playing against Australia because they haven't been playing great the last couple of seasons, and I think the games could get quite loose, and that would definitely suit Jack Willis, obviously being used to playing in France. And like we said, Jack Morgan in the last couple of seasons has really blown up in Wales and had some great performances for a young player. He was given the captaincy pretty much straight away, and he took it in his stride. And I think he's been injured for since the World Cup. I think since the summer tour.
I'm not sure.
I think he's been injured pretty much since the summer tour. So hopefully he gets back into it and gets to where he was. And I think he's definitely be in contention for the back row in the Lions team.
Yeah, that blindside slot's an interesting one. It has. Courtney would be eligible. Like, you've seen him up close and personal. Ross, do you think he's still potentially at that level? If the coach Andy Farrell has a good look at him, and it'd be worth taking along for his experience alone. But if he did get the opportunity to mix it in training, do you think he's still got it?
Yeah, of course he's still got it. He's still fit, and like I said earlier, he looks after himself. And if they did want him to go and give him the opportunity, he definitely wouldn't be saying no to it. So, yeah, no, I don't think he'd let anyone down. He'd definitely, make a good impression of himself if he did go.
Yeah,
that'd be some story. There you go. I guess that's one we can chuck in the comments down below. The Lions back row. Has anything Joe or Ross had to say change your thoughts? What are you going to do for the rest of the day? You off for a little bite to eat or something?
Might take Ross for a thank you burger.
Jackal technique, maybe.
Yeah. Some jackling technique.
Well, I'll leave you off to go and get some nice gastronomic food, and I'll stay here in the grey, gloomy Manchester skies. Ross, I hope you get well soon, mate.
Thank you.
Well, keep your eyes peeled on the channel. Hit like, subscribe, and leave your comments down below. We'll see you on the next one.